Elizabeth Bowman.
I am Stacy Tama.
My name is Roman Bruno Rivera.
We are representing the Chicago Ridge Public Library. We are interviewing Bill Muth on Monday, April 10th, 2017 at the Chicago Ridge Public Library. This interview is being conducted as part of the Project Next Generation grant for the Veterans History Project at the Library of Congress and the Illinois Veterans History Project. Funding for the Project Next Generation grant was awarded by the Illinois State Library, a department of the Office of Secretary of State, using funds provided by the U.S. Institute of Museum and Library Services under the provision of the Library Services and Technology Act, LSTA. Can you please provide your full name?
Willard Muth.
What is your date of birth?
October 23rd, 1945.
Where were you born?
Dickinson, North Dakota.
Who are/were your parents, and what are/were their occupations?
Well, my dad was a farmer until he died. I was 2 years old when he died. My mom worked at a drugstore, support 4 kids. So.
What branch of service were you with?
Army.
What is your highest rank that you had?
E5 specialist.
Did you enlist or were you drafted?
I enlisted.
Why did you pick that specific branch and what made you join it?
Well, the specific branch was for enlistment was only 3 years at the time. And the job I had, I didn't like. If I would have looked for another job, they'd have looked at my classification and they'd said goodbye because I was classified 1A.
What was your job before you entered the service?
I was a bookkeeper at a construction company.
What schools and colleges did you attend?
Grammar school was St. Joseph's Grade School in Dickinson, Dickinson High School, and then Fargo I went for a year and a half, business college.
How old were you when you started serving?
21.
What year did you serve in?
Pardon me?
What year did you serve in?
66 to 69.
How long did you serve for?
3 years.
How did it feel when you started your service experience?
Kind of weird, but I got used to it in a hurry.
Do you feel that you received enough training?
Yes.
Was it scary when you started to serve?
Yes, it was. For a couple of days, a couple of weeks. Then we settled down. And
what was scary?
just being in the service, and you hear all these stories about how bad the sergeants are and everything, and they're not really that bad.
Where did you train at?
I took basic training at Fort Lewis, Washington in Washington State. My advanced infantry training, advanced individual training was at Fort Eustis, Virginia, in Virginia. And then I went to Fort Carson, Colorado. From there I went to Vietnam. Come back from Vietnam, I was at Fort Riley, Kansas.
How long did you have to train per day?
Pardon me?
How long did you have to train per day?
It varied from time to time. Usually it was around 8 hours, unless we went on a forced march, then it would be longer.
What did you do in basic training?
Well, we learned how to use the rifle, learned how to march, and learned to respect the officers.
Could you call and talk to your family during training?
Yeah, there was a couple of nights during the week that, on weekends, that they would let us call. We'd be on the phone for a couple of minutes, and then we had to get off and let the next guy go.
What were the rules in the military?
What were the rules? Well, pay attention to your officers, what they said, whether you liked it or not. You followed what they told you to do, and you had to keep your area clean in the barracks and make sure your bed was made in the morning. And that was about it.
Did you receive any specialized training?
I was at Fort Eustis, Virginia. I was trained as a helicopter mechanic.
Where were you stationed?
Well, in basic training, I said Fort Lewis, Washington. Then I went to Fort Eustis, Virginia. And then after I got through there, I went to Fort Carson, Colorado. From there, we went to Vietnam. I was at Long Bend, Ben Hoa, and up at Hue Phu Bai. Then I come back to the States, and that's Fort Riley, Kansas.
What you served?
Well, in Washington it was nice. In Virginia it was the winter months, so it was cold. Fort Carson was cool, not real cold. Vietnam was hot. Fort Riley was cold in the winter.
What were the living conditions like?
In the States we had barracks. There's about 30 guys to a floor. And then Vietnam we lived in a tent.
How was the food?
Depending upon what day of the week it was. Some days it was good, other days, well, went hungry.
Were you able to have a social life?
Yeah, after basic training and advanced training, we got stationed at a regular company area. You were able to go on pass.
How did you adapt to military life?
I think I'd adapted pretty good to it. To me, when I first went in, it kind of like a Boy Scout camp, but was still respect to the officers. People with higher rank than you had to respect them. As long as you respected them, you got along okay.
How did you stay in contact with family and friends back home?
Letters.
What war or conflict did you serve during?
Vietnam. I was over there 67, 68.
How many wars were you in?
Just the one.
How did you feel when you were serving during wartime?
I felt okay. Sometimes scared, other times it was just another day. I was a crew chief on a helicopter in Vietnam, so we resupplied, took dry clothes and food out to the guys in the field, brought fresh guys out in the field, brought the tired guys back to their regular company.
Did any of your siblings serve in service with you?
No.
Can you recall your instructors?
Pardon me?
Can you recall your instructors?
No, just the one I remember. I think he was more scared than anybody was, even though he was a career man. But
what did your uniforms look like, and were they comfortable?
the uniforms were comfortable, but they were green, olive drab, nothing fancy.
Were there different uniforms or different forms of combat?
No, it was all the same.
How heavy was all of your equipment that you had to carry during wartime?
Well, I was lucky I didn't have to carry that much because I was on a helicopter all the time, so all I had to do was carry my rifle and flak vest.
Were you given coats or long underwear if it was cold?
Yes. Yeah.
If your boots wore out, were you able to get new ones?
Yes, we were. I never wore one out though, but
Were you given any shots to protect you from diseases or animal or bug bites?
awful lot of shots in basic training. About every day during basic training we'd go to get shots.
Can you tell me about your early days of service?
Well, it was Fort Lewis, Washington. And it was really nice. The countryside was nice. You'd look out the barracks window and you'd see the mountains and everything. And it was nice. It wasn't bad.
And what did you do?
I was a helicopter crew chief. I started out as a helicopter mechanic. Then I went to be a crew chief and said we would resupply the guys out in the field. And if our helicopter was due for maintenance when we got in for the night, before we could go to bed, we had to do the maintenance on our helicopter.
Were you in the line of fire?
Yes, the helicopter I was in got hit 3 times. No damage to anybody in there though, so.
What was your wartime service like?
Sometimes it was scary, other times it was pretty much like a regular day, and you always had to watch out to make sure there's no snipers or NVA coming into the compound.
What kind of tents did you sleep in?
Well, there were big tents. There was about 14 or 16 guys per tent. It wasn't a little pup tent. Basic training, we had the small tent, 2-man tents.
Did you sleep on the ground?
Basic training, yes. When we were out in the field.
Did you carry a canteen of water?
Pardon me?
Did you carry a canteen of water?
Yes, we did. They would tell us to conserve the water, and today they're saying drink all the water you can get. So.
How big was the canteen?
It was about a quart.
What if you run out?
Hopefully you didn't, or if you had some good buddies, they might share their water with you. But I never ran out.
If you were in a tropical country where there are lots of bugs and what about bug repellent or netting for your bed?
We had netting, but we had no bug repellent. I think if you went to the supply, they would give you bug repellent, but I never used any.
What did you do for recreation when you were off duty?
We'd play cards, sit in the NCO, the Enlisted Man's Club. Sometimes they had movies we could watch. If nothing else, we went into town and partied a little bit.
Could you eat the local food?
I never tried eating the local food in Vietnam, but when I was statewide, I ate whatever they had out there. I didn't know what they were serving.
How did you deal with the different languages and cultures?
Different languages was kind of hard at times, and you didn't know what they were saying. And so the culture was different, but I got used to it.
Did they give you any training on certain languages?
No, they didn't. Iowa didn't get any. I think if the infantry guys probably got some training, but I never got any training.
How did you adapt to the currency?
Pardon me?
How did you adapt to the currency?
It was kind of hard at times, but then I got used to it.
What kind of currency was it?
It was paper, all paper.
Did you get paid each week?
Nope, got paid once a month.
How much?
I don't remember. It was it was depending upon what rank you were and how much time you had in the service. When I was in Vietnam, I got combat pay and flight pay, so that was it was a nice check.
Were you able to spend the money off base, or did you send it home?
Sent some home and spent some off base.
Was the money you got paid enough to live on?
You could make it live on it. You could live on it. Not high off the hog, but you could live on it.
Did you encounter any animals, wild or domestic?
No, I did not.
Did you have a pet?
No, not over there. I didn't have no pets. Some of the guys did have pets. I never had one.
Where were you when the war ended?
I was in Chicago Ridge when the war ended.
How did you return home?
Flew home from Saigon. One flight we stopped in Singapore, I think it was, and then up all the way back to California.
How did you readjust to civilian life?
I adjusted okay because I caught back. It was pretty much civilian. Could do anything you wanted when I got back. There wasn't much to do at where I was stationed, so had a lot of free time.
Why did you choose Chicago Ridge?
Well, when we got married, we lived in Chicago, and then we rented a house, and we decided to buy out here in Chicago Ridge. Then I joined the Chicago Ridge Fire Department. I was a volunteer fireman, too.
Who greeted you when you returned home?
Actually, nobody. I got off the plane and got home, got in the cabin, came to see, well, at the time she was my fiance, so I got greeted from her when I got to their door.
Did you have any friends while you were serving?
Yes, I had a lot of friends when I was serving. I never kept in touch with any of them because they went all different directions when we got back.
Why did you make, like,
Pardon me?
how did you feel about that?
The friends, I thought they were really nice. We looked out for each other.
What were your experiences at the end of the war or end of your military service?
I didn't have any bad experiences. Nobody threatened me or made fun of me. Nobody that I heard of, so I adjusted well.
Do you have any personal reflections that you would like to add?
No, I just that when I got out of the Army, I would if they would have asked me to go back in again, I would have went back in. I'd have went back to Vietnam. With no regrets, I would have stayed there. Went.
How did the wartime experiences affect your life?
I think it just made me feel that I could trust more, have to trust people at times with your life, basically to have your back all the time, and that was about it. Got to have trust in people.
Did you receive any medals?
Yes, I had the Good Conduct, National Defense, Vietnam Campaign with 3 stars on it, the Vietnam Service Medal, Air Medal with a 9 on it meant that I had enough flight time for 9 air medals.
Did you have any children or grandchildren? If so, did they join the service?
When I was in, no, I did not, but I have 5 grandkids now, and none of them joined. Well, the grandkids are still too young, and my son never joined. He decided to become a Chicago fireman instead.
Did you keep in contact with any other veterans who served while you did?
No, I did not.
What did you learn from your time in the service?
Learn to trust other people, respect rank, and respect people in general.
Would you re-serve again if you had the choice?
Yes, I would. If I was young enough, I would. I just wish when I got out they would have told me that if I joined the reserves or the National Guard that would count towards a retirement. I would have joined the National Guard or the reserves.
Do you have any photos or objects still as memories?
Yes, I have some at home of them, and didn't bring any. I was going to bring some and I forgot. I also have a rifle that I got from one of the VCs over there. I couldn't bring it, and I was going to get a picture of it. And something came up and I forgot to take the picture.
What is a VC?
Pardon me?
What is a VC?
I didn't hear you.
What is a VC?
What is the VC? Viet Cong was the enemy.
Are you a member of any veterans organizations?
I'm a member of the VFW. I'm the district commander for the 3rd District, and I'm also a member of the American Legion. I'm the finance officer for the American Legion. Both of the posts I belong to are here in Chicago Ridge.
What messages would you like to leave for future generations who will watch this interview?
You gotta trust people, and if they ask you to serve your country, because you don't want war to come to your country. You want to keep it in the foreign countries, so you don't want to cut it short, because you see the destruction they have over there in the countries where the wars are at, how they destroy buildings and homes. So you want to keep the war out of your country.
Can you share any stories with us?
Pardon me?
Can you share any stories with us?
Well, not really. I guess I could tell you the one when I ended up being AWOL. Was 10 minutes AWOL. My brother-in-law's birthday, well, at the time it was just a friend, was his birthday, and we stayed out a little bit too late and drinking, and we got picked up for being 10 minutes AWOL.
Was it hard?
Pardon me?
Was it hard?
No, it wasn't hard. Sometimes it was, and you had to work, depending on what you were doing and everything, it is what it had to, is the work you had to do.
Did you travel when you were in Vietnam?
No, we couldn't. We pretty much stayed in the company area. I did drive truck for a while when I was over there, taking supplies to other outposts and stuff. So I did that.
Was it hard to tell who was your enemy?
Yes, it was. One of the things they told us to do is if you're on a sandbag detail, the people that were there, the Vietnamese, if they had their legs all scratched up, watch them close because they're probably out in the bush at night shooting at you. Where if their legs weren't scratched up, they were at home. So kind of had different ideas of how to watch for them.
Who was your enemy?
Pardon me?
Who was your enemy?
Who was the enemy? Depends upon what side you were on. If you were on the American side, the Viet Cong was your enemy. If you were on the North Vietnamese side, the Americans were your enemy. So it depended upon what side you were on.
What part of your helicopter broke down the most?
Mine, I was lucky none of it did. When I was on R&R, they did wreck my helicopter, but nobody got hurt. But none of them really, three hits that I took, nothing affected the flying of it. So.
What is a sandbag detail?
Pardon me?
What is a sandbag detail?
I didn't hear you.
What is a sandbag detail?
Sandbag detail? You fill sandbags with sand, just like they're doing now for floods and stuff. Only we didn't use them to keep water out. We kept building them for bunkers and protection.
Where was the supply base, and how far did you have to fly?
Well, that's hard to say. All I know is the time in the air was, I never kept track of it, but we did have fly around for quite a bit. Sometimes it was later at night, fly at night. Most of the time it was during the day, because if you fly at night, if you can't see no lights, which was dark over there, you ended up thinking you were flying upside down, and you all lost the perception of which way you were going. So had to hand it to the pilots. They kept us on the right side.
How would you compare today's military to the military in which you served?
I think today's military's got it much easier than what we had it when I was in. I don't think, from what I hear of some of the stuff, I don't think they respect the officers like we had to, or the drill sergeants. Because if we disrespected a drill sergeant, you didn't just walk away from them. You ended up doing push-ups or something to show them who's boss.
What did you think about that?
At first I thought it was kind of rotten that they do it that way, but then I felt that they did it that way so you get better retraining and have respect for them and respect for others.
Do you think you had enough training?
Pardon me?
Did you think you had enough training?
Did I think I had enough training?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And who were your siblings?
Who were my siblings? Well, when I was over there, it was just my mom and 3 sisters. Then I come back, got married. I made 2 mistakes that year. I got out of the Army and got married, but and I had 3 kids, a son and 2 daughters.
When were you married?
When did I get married? August 17th, 1969.
Did any of the locals work on base?
Pardon me?
Did any of the locals work on base at Vietnam?
Yes, they did. Usually they did the KP for us. The guys didn't have to do KP. KP is kitchen police that would help serve the food and clean up, wash the dishes and everything.
Do they speak English?
Some of them did, others didn't. Or they acted like they couldn't. But you never know.
Was it hard to was it hard in the war?
When we were over there, yes, it was, because you didn't know what they were saying. You had to watch out for them, but we survived it.
Who made the helicopters?
Pardon me?
Who made the helicopters?
Bell helicopter. They were UH-1Ds. They had a fancy name for them, but it boiled down to just the helicopters. They called it a single rotor turbine engine, something like that. But it come down, it was a helicopter.
Was anybody in your group taken hostage?
No. Not while I was over there that I knew of it.
Did a lot of helicopters get shot down?
No, not too many of them. There were a few that got shot down, but not too many of them got shot down.
Have you been in a helicopter since your service?
No, I have not.
Would you want to do anything else?
Would I want to go in a helicopter again? Yeah, I would go in I'd go in again. I enjoyed it. The first time I was in it, though, at training, they told us that a helicopter, according to the theory of flight, is not supposed to fly. So the first time you're up in a helicopter, actually, yeah, it's the first time I was in a helicopter, and they said, well, according to the theory of flight, you're not supposed to fly, and kind of think, oh God, what am I doing up here?
Did your training with helicopters help you get a job back here in the States?
Well, I was going to go to the aircraft school to learn aircraft, but I didn't get there, so I ended up being a truck mechanic when I got back.
Did you ever have to fly a helicopter?
No, I did not. The pilot let me fly at one time, but not enough training to. No.
Is there anything you feel like we haven't discussed or should be added?
No, I think you guys covered it pretty good. So.
Do you have any special training?
Pardon me?
Do you have any special training?
Any special things? No, nothing, but like I said earlier in the interview, that if I would go back in and wouldn't.
What was your favorite thing to eat?
Pardon me?
What was your favorite thing to eat?
What was my favorite food? Well, it's sea rations or the regular food. Sea rations, usually it was beans and weenies. Regular food, it depended upon what they were serving. I guess the worst meal was in the summertime on Sundays. They'd just have cold cuts. And I think that was, they said it was their most expensive meal, but it was the worst meal.
What did you like most and least about Vietnam?
The country over there was nice. When we flying around, you could see a lot of the country, so I liked that. But the bombing and shooting and all that wasn't one of the best things over there. So.
Did you see a lot of the shootings?
Pardon me?
Did you see a lot of shootings?
No, I did not, but we did have to bring some of the guys that were shot back. I wasn't a medevac helicopter, but if we had resupplied, taken some supplies out to them and there was some wounded, we would bring them back to the hospital.
Would you ever travel back to Vietnam?
I would like to. If they ever had the chance, I would like to go back there. I would like to go back to Vietnam, see that again. So, I know the guys that were wounded over there have a chance to go back to see the country, but I would like to go back to see it too. There was some nice country over there.
Well, thank you for coming and sharing your story with us.
You're welcome.